with a thing called tuna sashimi. 3, 2, 1.
Hello guys, Tuna back again, and this week we got the review of the new Toaplan collection. This is the Toaplan Arcade Shoot 'em Up Collection Volume 2. This is another 4 games. This does have 4 classic Toaplan games as well on it. So what we'll do, we'll start it off with Flying Shark, and I'll show you all the extra features and all the options and what they do and everything on this game, because it will apply to all 4 games. So instead of going through on all 4 games, I'll just go through on the one and you get the idea for all the other games. And then I'll go through each game. I'll play for a little bit and I'll give you my thoughts on the game, and then I'll give my thoughts overall at the end. So I think we'll start off with what Bitwave put on their website. So this is done by Bitwave, by the way. And it's licensed from the Tattooing Company, I believe, which I'm not sure if one of the guys who owned Toaplan owns that company. But anyway, so what Bitwave say about this is basically it's got a minimal input lag. It said all the input processing and the rendering is all done on the same frame, and it does feel quite nice, to be honest. I got no way of testing the input lag, or the input delay. But it does feel fine, to be honest. It's a quick saving, so you can quick save with the F keys up to F10, and you can hold down Shift and quick load up to F10, so you've got 10 save slots. It's got online leaderboards, which include like single credits, assists, and various other things. It's got instrument panels. You've got rewind function that can rewind between 10 and 18 minutes. You've got a mirror mode, which is, I'll have to show you that, which is quite a cool feature, which I don't think anyone's ever done in a shmup before. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone has done it. You can capture and share your gameplay as well, which is really good. I haven't done the sharing part of it, but I have captured some gameplay. You've got the various assists, which I'll go through all them. You got the super easy modes and stuff as well to help players. You can learn this. So these games are hard, so don't be fooled. You're not going to put them on and you're going to easily breeze through them. So if you're not quite so good at shoot 'em ups, there is easy modes and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with using them. And the assists, you've got screen options like rotating. You've got Steam achievements, and you've got different input modes. So we will go through everything for this game. So this is Flying Shark. Press the button and I'll go straight into the options. In the options, we'll go through one by one. You've got video modes. So basically, you've got your inner window and you've got your full screen. You have different scales. So you can do the pixel scale, which is fine. Or you can do the fill, which fills up the entire vertical and makes your horizontal a little bit higher. The only problem in this mode, you do get a little bit of shimmering, but there is an option to get rid of it. So basically what happens, because you're uneven pixels, because you're not the exact aspect ratio, you get a bit of shimmering in the uneven pixels, but they can be fixed using interpolation, and there is an option for that. You've got to rotate. You can basically use tate mode, essentially, if you want it. You've got the mirror option, which is super clever, which pretty much mirrors the game. We'll have a quick run of that. You've got a wider option as well, so you can stretch the game out a bit. I haven't actually played with the wider option. It'd be interesting if you can see the enemies coming in on the wider version. We'll check that out as well. What I was saying about the interpolation, if you put it on pixels, and I go out, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little bit of a shimmer. You can see it better on when he's flying over land, because of the uneven pixels. If you put the steps mode on, which interpolates in between the pixels, it pretty much goes away. So you're fine. So if you're going to do that, it does make the image a little bit softer, but it eliminates that shimmer, so essentially it does look better. You've also got full screen. You've got a true full screen. So basically, it takes priority, or you've got full screen in a window, which you can still use your Windows keys underneath. And another option which I like as well, you've got the original speed and you've got 60 hertz. If you use the original speed, you do get a little bit of judder when it scrolls, because not all arcade games were 60 hertz or 59.94. A lot of arcade games were like but they all went up 53, 55, 56, 57 hertz. And like when you're playing them in MAME and things like that, you force 60 hertz and more compatible with modern displays, but the games run slightly too fast. So it's nice to have the option. I'm going to play an original because I quite like playing it with a slight speed difference. Like most people, unless you've really played the arcade one, you're not really going to notice. But it does break things in some games. So I'm just going to leave it on original. The other mode you got as well, you've got the scanline option. I wish they just give you, uh, you know, the pixel look, and then you could add scan lines to it. That'd be perfect. And no bugger does it except for M2 for some reason. It looks like the Capcom collection has got it, the beat 'em up collection. But it looks so nice like that. But no, you haven't got scan lines. You got scan lines. You got CRT filter. But I understand some people like this, and it don't look too bad for a CRT filter. It's pretty decent. Um, but I don't particularly like playing it this way. I would rather have the nice, high quality sort of pixel mode with scan lines onto it. So Bitwave in future, if you can, I would appreciate it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people would appreciate it if you give it the option just to add scan lines over each other mode. That would be fantastic. And make these games a lot better as well, I think. So that's one rant over with. So anyway, so that's that. So I'm going to put that back to the steps mode. So go out. Audio options are interesting as well. You can basically play through the different play music and sound effects. You can turn the music off, and there is filters. You can add echo at different levels. You can add reverb as well to give it like a bit more of a stereo effect. Because I don't know whether most people know that a lot of arcade boards are not actually stereo; they're actually mono. So you could basically you could almost force like a stereo effect. You've got low pass and high pass filter as well. So basically, what that will do, if you set the frequencies, you can cut off sounds higher than them frequencies. So if you get a sound effect that seems a bit shrill, which is like really high pitched and really annoying, you could adjust the filters to cut that sound off a little bit. So it's cool that there is options to mess around with the sound to get it to your liking, so that you can't fault that at all. It's really nice for them to add them features. Um, on the input wise, you've got the Steam input, which I think is meant for the Steam OS, and you've got raw input, which is what I'm using. Um, Current player assign controllers. You can assign controllers to whatever player you want. So you've got two players. You can enable controls, turn it off, same with keyboards. Controller setup. You go into it, press a button, and this is all your controller setups. When you click another button, you get more buttons. You eventually get about 4 or 5 buttons across the top, and you think, what the hell do I get rid of those buttons? Because multiple buttons are doing the same thing. If you press B, which I'm using an Xbox setup essentially, so if you press B, it'll cancel that, and then you can press A, and then you can assign it again. So you can assign buttons to whatever controller setup, whatever you want, up to you. So that's a really nice feature as well, and you can restore to default. Same with the keyboard. I'm not using the keyboard, but it's there for you if you want it, which is very nice. And you can show controls, which is what you get when you first start the game up. In game, then you can change the difficulty. You can basically have like super easy. These are pretty much the tip switches off the arcade boards, and difficulties back up. You can add extra lives if you want. You can change the extra life pointage wise. You can make it easier to get extra lives or harder to get extra lives, whatever you want to do it. You can add continues. I'll turn them on just for the hell of it. You can turn your track sound, which is basically what you see when you haven't got a credit in, and change everything back to default. You can also change the ROM. So you can have I think that is the US ROM or the world ROM. I think that is the Japanese ROM, the original one, and that is the European ROM, I believe. I could be wrong though. So you can change ROMs. Like if I go into that one now, you'll get Sky Shark, and then if I go back into it and I put it back on the original Japanese one, you get the Japanese one, and then go back to the world version, I believe. Also, you can have manual coins. If you put an automatic coins, I think it just automatically inserts a coin for you. Borders. You've got different backgrounds you can have as well, which is quite nice. There's not too many on here, but they're there if you want them. I quite like that one. You can add a frame, which I don't particularly like. You can do the overlays. The overlays, you got sound outputs, you got the various voice, in the actual sound chip, pretty much I can't think of what it is. Pretty much the sound of your sound channels, essentially the different voices as they call them. So you'll see all them moving when you're playing the game. You've got the score setup, so not quite as nice, gadgets as the M2 stuff. You got the shows how many shots you've done, your bombs. Then it shows you what level area and you're playing, and then you go what would be on the sides of the arcade. I do have a slight. It's not a problem, but this is where I go. That's too big. It's massive. I wish that was smaller. It's like really. It looks like it's really zoomed in. That could be a lot smaller than that. It's too big. That's what I'm saying. Bitwave. You could make that smaller, and then you could make that smaller, and you could fit both of them on that side. So I would be able to see how many shots enemies was going on, and I would be able to see what level section I'm on and my score. So you could change your gadgets around a little bit, make these a lot smaller. They're a bit crazy on size. The other thing which would be nice, I know it's not a complaint, but it would be nice, if you could do one to see your actual button presses. Like an arcade, you'd have 6 buttons on your joystick. You could see you moving your joystick around your button presses. That'd be really cool for streaming these games. So anyway, there's that's what you get for them. So I'm going to just turn them off for now. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Look out. On the assists, you could basically have a custom one, easy, arcade. So basically on the custom one, you can have auto fire, you can have auto dodge. So basically what it'll do, it'll dodge bullets for you. You can add hit points to your planes. You can take so many hits before you die. You can even change the hitbox. So you can have hitbox small or normal. And you can show the hitbox if I go out. And then I'll start it up a minute. I'll show you what I mean. So there's the hitbox of the plane. So basically when you fire bullets, when a bullet hits that square, that's when you die. You can also see the hitboxes of other planes and bullets as well. So as long as it goes through the front of the ship, you're not going to die. So if you go back into assists and you put small hitbox, you can actually change the size of the hitbox to make it tiny. So you can make it more like a modern shmup, so it'll be a bit easier to dodge bullets. So bullets can actually just go through your plane, essentially, as long as they're not hitting our little square boxes. So that's quite a nice feature. So we're going to put that back to normal for now. You can also show health bar, which is when I think you put the health on. You've got a rewind, which you can rewind the game. So if you die, you can rewind and start again. You can rewind up to 10 to 8 minutes, I think. 10 to 18 minutes, I believe. So you can rewind a fair amount if you want. I think you can set up a button for that as well. And you can change the language. Saving as well. You've got quick save and quick load. You have 10 slots. You can save from in here, or you can hold down, you can press F1 to F10 to save, hold down Shift and F1 to F10 to load. You can save from here as well, and you can load from here, and it'll look for the save slot you're on. You can also record your gameplay at any time, so you click record, and then you go back in. It says you click record, it goes back into it. Like if I do this now, it'll record that bit, and if I go back and then go into save and then save recording, you can name it wherever you want and save it, and then if I go to replay and then replay that, you'll see me die again. So that's really nice features. You could record your entire run essentially if you wanted to. You've got the ranking as well, so you can see all the best scores online, and you can flick through the different versions and no assists and various other things. And you've got a full practice mode as well. So I could say pick level 3, I could pick the third checkpoint in there, I could give myself full weapons, I could give myself no bombs, and the cycle means how many times you keep repeating that cycle when you die. So you keep going and repeating. So if I press start now, I'll go to that section, and you can just basically practice this section over and over. And if I die, I can't remember if I put the cycle thing on, and then you go back to it. So that's really good for practicing. You can practice various areas, plus you've got the save slots as well, which is quite nice. You've also got the credits. So it's all the people at Toaplan who made the game, and the people at Bitwave and everything. And then you've got a reset, which resets it back to as it was before you started. So I'm going to go back into assists, and I'm going to put it back on arcade. And I'm just going to have autofire. Autofire as well doesn't count. It doesn't count as an assist essentially. So you can play the arcade one. You can get on the leaderboards with autofire, which is great because I don't consider autofire cheating. And autofire has been used in Japanese arcades for years and years and years, and no one complains. And why tap and tap and ruin your wrists and your fingers when you can have autofire? So I'm happy with that. I'm fine with that. So we'll do that. So that's all the options on these games. As you can see, there's quite considerable. Each game has literally got the same options, except for changing the game itself, the versions, the different ROMs. Some of them, they've got an extra option just called version, and some of them you've got to go into the game and then version. So I don't know why they're a little bit different between them, but they are. So anyway, guys, let's have a go with this then. So this is a pretty oldish Toaplan game. It's not the earliest game, but it's one of the earlier type shmups. So it's very good. So let's get a credit in this baby, and then off we go. So this is World War One-ish type. I think it's World War One, isn't it? Shooter. It's quite basic, really. It's literally just fire and bomb, pretty much like Tiger Ellie. Pretty simple. So don't be fooled. This game is really hard. It's classic old school arcade difficulty, but basically all the bullets are pretty much aimed right at you, and things that come on screen will snipe you really fast. Pretty much like most old arcade games. You do have a power-up system as well. I think you collect like 5 or 6 power-ups, and your weapons get better. Having fastest autofire in the world, that is not really that great for this game. You're better off with a slower autofire. And you have a smart bomb, which goes off like that. I have noticed that there is a weird sound issue. The sound effects don't sound quite right in this game, especially the bomb. And when you die, when the bomb, you get that sort of sound. It's the same when you die. On the arcade one, there is a little bit of it, but it's nowhere near as pronounced as it is on here. It doesn't sound quite right. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I don't think the sound is perfect on this. But if you've never played the arcade one, I don't think it's going to make any difference to you. And it's not going to stop your enjoyment of playing it. But yeah, just to let you know that I don't think the sound effects are quite right on this. Well, from the music sounds alright, but I'm not 100% whether the music's correct either. So it may be a slight sound difference in the sound driver they're using. I'm not technical when it comes to programming, so I don't know. But all I know, it doesn't quite sound right. If you play this on MAME or something else, or play it on like the Evercade or something, it does sound different. You don't get that noise when you die. Like I said, that's nothing that's really going to stop my enjoyment of this. As you can see, there's a lot of bullets. They do go for you exactly at you, and you've got to be careful of things sniping you. There's no bullet ceiling either, and what I mean by that is when an enemy gets so far down the screen, once they get to, like when this base gets to about there, normally in modern games they don't fire at you anymore. In this, there is no bullet ceiling basically, so enemies will be right down the bottom of the screen and they will snipe you. I don't think there's any particular scoring tricks with the original game. I say original game, I was thinking of like Fire Shark, which I don't know whether it is a sequel to this. It might well be. It does seem like it is anyway, but there's a bit of a scoring thing to that. There is a points bonus, but I'm not entirely sure how I got that points bonus. I don't know whether it's lives or how many bombs you got left at the end. It could be bombs actually. There was 30,000 one here and I had 3 bombs, so it may be 10,000 a bomb possibly. I'm not entirely sure. You know you're going to start seeing enemies, lots of enemies coming on screen and sniping you really fast. I do like this game, I've been playing it quite a bit, but be prepared for a fair challenge. So I won't play these for too long because obviously this video will be massive with it. But anyway, that's Fire Shark. I say that is a classic old school Toaplan game. So I really like it. It's a really good game. Like I said, I do think it's got a slight problem with the sound effects. Yeah, very nice apart from that. So I'll tell you what, we will move on to Fire Shark next. Which I don't know whether it is the sequel to this, but it seems like it. So let's move over to that. Right then guys, now we got Fire Shark. Oh, this is the Japanese ROM I was playing around with. So this one, the difference between the Japanese, I'm not sure what the difference is on Flying Shark between the different ROM sets. I think it's just difficulty, because that game was like solid when it first came out in the arcades. I think it was too hard, so they did like revisions to the ROM. But on this one, you change the ROM and difficulty does change. And one of the ones you got checkpoints, and this ROM, the Japanese one, I think you pretty much when you die, you start off exactly where you die from. So this game got quite famous for taking the Flying Shark formula and then chucking ridiculously massive weapons on it, as you've just seen then. The weapons can be powered up into this game and they get like really futuristic lasers, and you've got a fire weapon which you see then that bends around the screen, and you've got the green laser. So if you look at the options, they're practically exactly the same as Flying Shark, except for when you go into game you can change the version, but there's a separate option for game version. So what we'll do is I'll show you the mirror option on this, because I didn't show it on the last game. I want to show that mirror option because it's quite interesting. So we'll start up a game. As I say, this is a little bit later on in Toaplan's releases. I like this game a lot. This also got a conversion to the Mega Drive. The Mega Drive version is surprisingly good. It obviously doesn't use the same screen setup. I tell you what I will do though. I will put, I got steps on. I put it to full. Yeah, it doesn't have the same screen setup, but the Mega Drive version is surprisingly good. So in this one, you've got the medals on the floor, which are the little lightning bolts. They can be used for bonuses at the end. As long as you don't die, you get a bonus from. The P icons doesn't give me a power up, as you've seen straight away. On this one, you've got to collect 3 of them to be able to get a power up. Another difference between Flying Shark and this is you can get speed ups, which you will need. As you can see, this game as well, things snipe you fast. So one more P and I'll get a power up. I think because the power-ups in this get ridiculously powerful, they didn't want you collecting them pretty quick. So they added that, you know, you've got to basically collect 3 of them before you get a power-up. So I'll show you the green weapon now in a second. So this is the laser weapon. Those turrets as well, they don't fire unless you get in front of them. So I'm going to keep collecting these medals or these lightning bolt icons on the floor. I'm going to keep collecting them and hopefully get a bonus at the end of the first level. So this is the green weapon. It's pretty powerful, this weapon is. There's not much sort of width on it for killing enemies, you know, to the sides. You've got to be a bit more precise, but it does kill everything pretty fast. As you can see, the difficulty on this is quite tricky. This is the fire weapon, which this game I think is pretty much named after. And this is the weapon you've just seen on the attract screen, where you got those crazy bendy lasers all over the place. This weapon is super powerful. It can screw up a little bit once it's powered up and you're waiting for it to bend to kill enemies on the sides. They are really going for it on firing bullets to me on this version. Say that enemy I just killed in the middle of the screen, they got a hell of a lot more shots. I quite like the spread weapon on this in some ways because it's really good at killing all enemies around on the screen without moving around too much. So, to get to your bonus points on this one, is basically if you can do the level without losing a life, collect as many as those power-ups, you know, those little lightning icons as possible, and don't use your bombs. So at the end of the level, it all gets topped up how many you've had, and then you get a bonuses depending on how many you've got, how many you've got, you know, how many bombs you got, how many lives you got, and how many of those little icons you got. So it's worth trying to obviously do the levels without dying, which ain't easy. And hopefully I won't die and we'll get to the end and you'll see me get the bonus. And that's how you get the bonus points in this one, or get the extra score. So that's essentially, I think that's pretty much essentially the scoring in this game. I should get a nice bonus for that now. Like, now this game gets hard. So this is a pretty nice game. I like it more than Flying Shark. I do like Flying Shark, even though it's like a bit more basic in lots of ways. I say this is feels a little bit more modern playing. And like I said, same with this one and all Toaplan games. Don't be fooled, this game is brutal. But you can put it on the easier difficulty, which does make it a bit more palatable to most people. Two more power-ups and then my weapon will start going crazy. I'll see if I can play, hopefully don't die and get two more power-ups. Use a bomb because a lot of enemies come from the side. This game's quite long as well. I think it's got like 10 levels. I don't think I've ever finished the arcade one. I've used the Mega Drive one and there is 10 levels, so I'm assuming the arcade one has probably got about the same. Crazy. But this game is definitely okay, walk. We'll watch these little boats. If you leave them on screen, you're in trouble. So, I'm going to check another power up at me soon. I wonder if I can get the giant death weapon. And then I'll show you the mirror mode then, which makes things interesting. Right. These things fire at you pretty damn fast like it did. So, I tell you what I'll do it from the start. I'll show you the mirror mode and how that works. So if I start it. The mirror mode is super interesting. I don't think any other shmup have done it. And let me know if I'm wrong. I don't think anyone else has ever done it. And it's a clever idea. So basically, as you can see, I'm starting off here. So if I go back and reset it, you don't have to reset it. And I go into video and I go to mirror mode. As you can see, if you look at it's swapping it around. So essentially it is mirroring the screen to the other side. So when I start up the game now, everything is swapped around. So it makes it a little bit interesting to the fact that if you learn this game the one way, you play the mirror mode and it's all on the opposite side. So it adds a bit of longevity to these games because it definitely makes it interesting. Good thing about it as well, they added the mirror mode to the first collection they did as well. So I was playing Outzone last night in mirror mode, and yeah, it's familiar but different, if you know what I'm saying. So now everything's on the other side. I think what they've done is the power-ups get mirrored as well. So as you see, the S is the wrong way round. So I think what they did was they mirrored the screen to swap it around, and then they changed the controls to match, obviously to match the way you're playing, which is pretty clever, I think. Like if you go back into it and then I turn it off, it'll go back the other way around. So I think that's a pretty clever mode, which I don't think anyone else has ever done. And yeah, that's a really nice feature. I don't know why other shmups don't do that. That's quite cool. Just add that extra bit of dimension just to mess you up a bit to make it a little bit more of a challenge. So yeah, it's quite clever they've done that. I think they just mirrored the screen and then they changed the controls back to as they would be. They unmirrored the controls essentially. So anyway, that's Fire Shark. That's a classic Toaplan shoot 'em up with some crazy weapons. Super hard, same as all their games, but a really fun one. I said if you've got a Mega Drive, check the Mega Drive version out as well. It's also very good. So I think we'll swap over now and we'll play Slap Fight. Right then guys, Slap Fight. We're into this one. So I won't go through it again. Same options again, essentially. You've got mirror mode and everything on you as well. So this is one of the earlier games. I think this was maybe the next shipment that came out after Tiger Heli. I really like this game. They used to have it in the shop by me. I used to play a lot back in the day, and it's a really fun game. So we'll start this up. This game loops as well, multiple times. So depending on how good you get at it, it loops back around to the start. So you can get some nice high scores, but obviously it gets a lot harder on the loops. This game, there's no bomb, but you do have like a Gradius style weapon selection along the bottom. I just use a speed up, which you definitely need. And then we'll go back in it, and you've got to pick up the stars basically, which will then give you the weapon options. So I've got the side weapon, which is a very handy weapon actually. The other weapons you got as well, you can get a wing, which pretty much adds an extra wing to the end of your ship, which gives you more firepower, but those wings can be shot off. So if you could pipe your wings completely, but you can get them shot off. You also get a bomb weapon, which is really powerful. And there is some ways of scoring in this game. Sometimes you get a plant on the floor, and you can use the bomb weapon, the bomb the plant for high score. The same as when you got this ship, sometimes you got these little characters that run left and right on the screen. And you could use them for extra power. You've got a laser weapon as well. So that, extra scoring. You've got a laser weapon, which we're not going to use. And you've got a homing weapon, which is my favourite weapon of choice. Which also gives you these little tiles sometimes that reappear. So different weapons can give you different extra bits of scoring in this game. I would say for a lot of the bosses, probably the standard shot weapon is one of the best weapons to have for me. Just because you can fire really fast with auto fire, and you can kill some of the enemies really fast on you. And there's also a shield, which is very handy. It doesn't last forever. It can take 1 or 2 hits and then that's gone, but it does have a time limit on it, so you've got to keep collecting all the stars up to shields, use it, dodge as much as you can, and then you collect stars again, use a shield, which is a legitimate tactic on this game. So, coming up to the first boss, I'll use my shield. Good trick on the first boss is pretty much as long as you've got a speed up or 2, you can basically circle around this boss and it can't hit you. Otherwise you're going to have to dodge all that fire, but that's the easiest way of doing it. I'm going to give myself another speed. This game is it's not too long. You can fly through this game pretty quick, but I say with the way it loops and stuff, it's really good fun. Also, there is a conversion of this to the Mega Drive, which is a really nice conversion. It's almost arcade perfect. I haven't quite got the same colours, and there's a few graphic changes here and there, but apart from that, it's a very nice version of the arcade. Also, the good thing about the Mega Drive version is it's got a whole new game on it. If you go into the options and go to the special game, there's a whole new Slap Fight game they made for the Mega Drive one, and Yuzo Koshiro did the music for it. And the music sounds very much like Gradius. It's really good. It's well worth playing. But I wouldn't suggest buying the Mega Drive one these days because it's going to cost you probably about 500 to 600 quid. It's really, really pricey, but it's very nice. So that's Slap Fight, guys. It's like vertical scroller. I do like this game a lot. It's really good fun. It's a bit basic, but you do have the extra weapons, and it does get hard fast. See, there's the plant. If I had the bomb, you can bomb that for loads of points. But what I'm going to do is I'm gonna basically go into here. I'm going to show you the mirror mode, which I haven't actually played this in mirror mode yet. And then I'm going to basically do a reset. I'm going to show you a little trick, which will be very handy if you've never played this game before. You're probably not going to know it. Is a little trick of this. If you don't fire at an enemy, basically don't press fire at the start, and you get hit, you get full weapons in this game, which if you're first time playing this game, you're probably going to want to do that, because you can get full weapons and you get the homing weapon. But if you dodge everything for as long as possible, and being in mirror mode now, which is really weird because I'm on the wrong side to where I normally go. If you dodge for as long as possible, you get to the first fountain by here. Say fountain, but it's not a fountain. And you get boosted through the game past the first boss. Also, you get a points bonus as well. So the longer you can actually dodge and the longer you can keep going without actually firing into something, you get loads of extra points, more than you could do get into that part in the game if you went normally. And you get the full weapons. So the best way I found to do it is keep doing this circling motion basically. You may have to cut back through at this point because you get a bit trapped. But the further you can get into this, the more bonus you get. And if you want to get a high score on your first run on this, I would say that you want to be doing this basically. So I got sniped, and as you'll see now, I'll have a huge points bonus. I'll get boosted through the game, and I've got full weapons. So I'm not sure how long you could actually dodge for. I know you can get boosted up to the second boss. So, as you see, my side actually got knocked off. It does fire faster when you've got the sides, but they're a bit. It's a bit easier to get them knocked off. So I'm going to use a shield. So I'm near the second boss now, basically. This is weird in mirror mode. Everything is like the opposite side. It's really strange. It's cool that they added that mode though. It's quite clever. Like I said, I don't think any other shmup has done that before. Super clever way of doing it. Ah, the shield then. Damn it. That's a mistake. Right, the reason you get the sides is because when you got the missiles, sometimes it can take a while for the missiles to shoot and to move around to kill an enemy. So it's handy to have the sides because then you can wipe them out as they come on the screen. Here we go. So this is pretty much the second boss. Quite an easy boss this is. Basically, once you've got it right, you can just go left and right. The third boss is even easier. There's a safe spot you can stay. There's like 2 tanks that come down the screen, and there's a safe spot, not in the middle, to the side, and you can basically just stay there. If you've got homing fire, you can kill both of them from that point. So, as you can see, guys, Slap Fight has got that little trick as well, which will come in handy when you play it. So, Slap Fight is it's a really good classic. I really like this game a lot. So, that's Slap Fight. So let's go on to the last game on this collection, Hellfire. Right, guys, Hellfire. So, same with this again. Same option, same mirror mode. That's why I want to go for everything on the first game. I say this is a classic that got quite famous on the Mega Drive. I remember the first time I played this. I think I was in Western Supermare in an arcade, not on the pier, just an arcade off the pier. And that was the first time I played this, but I didn't know what it was called. And then I see that a Mega Drive version came out, so I had to buy it from Japan. And then I realised I couldn't fit it in the Mega Drive, and I didn't know about cutting Mega Drive slots at that point. So I had to buy a converter. The converters were crap, and I'd send the converter back and stuff. But yeah, this did get quite famous on the Mega Drive, the same as with Zero Wing. This is a really nice game, 2 players you see. The one ROM on this, you get checkpoints, and the other ROM allows you to start back off where you die. There's also a very nice PC Engine CD version of this, which pretty much gives you the start off where you die as well. So it's based on the Japanese ROM set, I believe it is. So, start a credit up. See, this game's got very nice music as well, same as Zero Wing. So this game's MacGuffin, or this game's gameplay feature, is you've got your ship, and you've got 4 different weapons which you can change on the fly by pressing the button. So you basically got your forward, your back, your up and down, and your diagonal 4-way. To be honest, the diagonal 4-way is probably going to be the one you're going to use a lot more than the other weapons. You can collect speed ups. You don't want to collect too many. You can also collect bonus icons, which give you bonus score, and you can power up your weapons about 5 times, I believe. 4 or 5 times. We'll see now. Should get a bonus thing there in a minute. Yeah, there's your bonus. So there's that. Basically, that's how you do your extra scoring in this. Get your extra bonus points. I remember back in the day when it came out the Mega Drive, it was all over the gaming magazines at the time. The Mega Drive version doesn't look as nice as the arcade one, but I think it adds a smart bomb though. I'm sure the Mega Drive has got some smart bomb you can bring in. Unless I dreamt it, which I may have. So this is a classic. The PC Engine CD-ROM one, I would say, is more like the arcade one. That one's got Red Book audio, which is very good as well. I quite like the chip tunes as well. The extra power up there. Oh well. I say this game will have you changing these weapons a lot. It's like I can't shoot that enemy up there now unless I change to the up and down weapon. You will have to change weapons continuously in this game. It's quite tricky sometimes with the stuff it throws at you. I'm not sure if you get a shield on the arcade one. I don't think you do, but the Mega Drive one did have like a shield. I'm sure it's got a shield power up you can pick up as well. Maybe one hit, now I think about it. Like I said, I may have just dreamt that as well, mine, but... This game does have sub-bosses and main bosses as well. And it will make you change weapons and stuff for the bosses. Like there's one coming up now. There's a sub-boss coming up. Here we go. So this is your first sub-boss. What you got to do in this one, you got to change your weapons and go around it. As I messed it up, you got to take the little pods out. So you've got quite a big ship in this one, so it can be a little bit tricky to dodge stuff. That's got to come back up again. It's quite nice playing the ROM set with the one you basically respawn when you die. It's quite nice because the restart point in this game can be tricky. There's a classic on the Mega Drive I've played a lot, but like I said, all arcade games, it is a tricky game. It's not easy. You're not going to be finishing this on your first go, put it that way. So, anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. So, my thoughts of... I'll do a restart. My thoughts of these games. First of all, I'll say the price of them. If you go on Steam and have a look at the price, they're £6.69 each, which, to be honest, is not much for what they are. They're well worth that, I think. If you were going to buy them on Arcade Archives, maybe they'd be £1 cheaper, maybe. But yeah, They're pretty nice. I say a lot of these Toaplan games have come out on collections lately. Like you've got the Evercade has got a collection of them as well on cartridge, which is quite nice. I say these ones got obviously a lot more options, especially with the video options and the mirror mode, which is pretty cool, and all the assists and everything. This does come with a nice set of options and a nice set of tweaks and stuff you can do to it, and you can play the different versions of the ROMs. Um, Say my one complaint would be I didn't mention when we were looking at Slap Fight. I think some of the sound effects in Slap Fight are not quite right either. So I think some of them sound maybe slightly off in Slap Fight, and the sound's definitely off in Flying Shark. It's definitely not quite right on the bombing and that, but I will say if you've never played the arcade ones or you haven't played them on MAME, you're not going to even notice. So it doesn't stop you. It doesn't stop your enjoyment of playing the game or everything, but I just don't think it's quite right. But it is nice that they give you those extra options for sound to do a bit of tweaking as well. The other thing I would say about the price of these, if you go on Steam at the moment, you can buy a bundle pack of these and get all 4 games, which is probably the way you want to buy them anyway, to be honest. You can get all 4 games in a bundle pack for £16, £16.40, I think it is, or roughly about there. So they work out at just over £4 each. And I got to be honest, for the price and the extra options and the practice options and everything you get for it, for these it's £4 odd each. They come definitely recommended. It's like the first one. I enjoyed the first collection. Had a few issues as well, especially with some of the ROMs. Like Outzone is a bit of a weird ROM, but I don't mind playing the ROM it's got. It's a bit of a weird ROM, and there's a few little things, but they have patched a lot of stuff and fixed things on it. And they would recommend it as well. But I would say, especially if you like the look of these and you like the Toaplan games, and you wanna pay for them and play play them officially, essentially, without playing them on emulation or whatever, which you can do obviously, or play them on the Mister or whatever. I think they're well worth the money, and they are giving you a lot of options for your cash. You're not just getting a bare bones, just a ROM. You are getting a lot of extra options, and they have tweaked these games, and they play really nice. I've got no way of input testing, input lag testing them, but they play fine. To be honest, I'm not having any problems playing them. So there probably is a couple of frames of input latency, the same as you would do on any emulation, but they're fine. So yeah. I would definitely recommend these. You could pick them up separate if you wanted, but I just buy them in the bundle for 16 quid. For 16 quid for these 4, with all the options you get, I think it's a bargain. So yeah, they're very good. Definitely recommended. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the review, guys. And I shall catch you in the next one, or I shall catch you in the live stream. So cheers for that, and I'll catch you soon. Bye now.